Okay, hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. Winter is coming so far, and yeah, well, basically the spring is the, oh sorry, not spring, the autumn is the season where there are many of low visibility approaches, and the weather is exactly about really close to the minimums or above the minimums or below the minimums, so there are plenty of go-arounds and diverts and so on. And so if you would like to check my video for low visibility operation, feel free to do it and comment it. And right now I will explain uh, uh, the winter operation on Boeing 737. It's basically on X.Plane 12, and this explanation will be from Oslo Gardermoen Airport into the Tromsø Airport, and it will be a really long flight and long discussion, because we'll go through the through all these procedures from A to Z. Okay, so for those of you who would like to see just the flight, you can slide my explanation, and for those of you who would like to know how it really works in operations of Boeing 737 on winter conditions, feel free and please learn. I will go very deep into the details. Okay, so we are currently at Oslo Airport, and temperature is minus 10 degrees of centigrade with a snowfall, precipitation, and yeah, well, visibility is approximately 2000 feet. Sorry, 2000 meters. Okay, so let's jump to it. And yeah, well, as the first, I would like to tell you that with upcoming PMDG, it will have the electronic flight bag, and in electronic flight bag you can easily handle with the situation. For example, if you have snow conditions, or I don't know what type of contaminated runway you have, you can just put it into the electronic flight bag and everything is okay. But the basic is that you've got the operational flight plan, and your flight company dispatcher should account with a booking capacity related to environmental conditions on the departure, as well destination and destination alternate airport. That means that you have to apply it, for example, for landing distance in particular airport, 15% of margin into the landing distance required in order to achieve the landing distance available. So this is the electronic flight bag. I hope it will comes with PMDG, and we will see the electronic flight bag basically on board contains many of informations like MLCDL, dispatch, and so on and so on. But for both or let's say for those of you who would like to be a professional pilots, it's really crucial to know some terminology, and we are going throughout the terminology. And first of all, we need to define what is the contaminated runway. Okay, contaminated runway is considered when more than 25% of runway surface area is covered by surface water. So that means that if you have water more than 3 millimeters of depth, it means that you have contaminated runway. It can contain the slush, loose snow, more than 3 millimeters of water equivalent. Okay, and give me some times and I will go deep through it. What is the water equivalent? Okay, and let's say you have snow, you have wet snow, you have ice, and you have compacted ice. Okay. Sorry, compacted snow, ice or wet ice. On Boeing 737, you must realize that wet ice operation on it's prohibited. In some companies there are prohibited ice runways as well. How the Scandinavian countries avoid this situation, because there are still snowing and they have icy runway all the times. They make a procedure. They are applying the hot sand into the runway, so that means that you are legal to fly, and this hot sand make your friction coefficient, let's say, within reasonable values. Okay. And now your electronic flight bag is basically going from Boeing software datas. Okay. And imagine that you don't have the electronic flight bag and you have just the charts for computations. And be aware of the fact that these charts are going, all of these charts and mathematical methods are going to EFB. So, well, okay, you can press EFB and press enter and that's it. But in order to understand, the charts are divided into the slippery, and that means low friction runway data, and contaminated runway data. Okay. Always when you have contaminations depicted on the SNOWTIME, that means that you have to use the contaminated runway data, okay, charts, and you have to use the slippery or low friction runway data when basically there is no contaminated, or let's say it was removed, but the friction coefficient it's not so perfect, so it's not good. It's some kind of medium to good. Okay, so in this case you are using slippery low friction runway data. And now I will come to the point number 2. The chart is dividing into the standing water, which is 4 mm, 8 mm, 12 mm, and low friction charts are divided into 39 mm, and so on and so on. We have to realize that we have basically two types of runway contaminated. One is affecting only the deceleration, that means dry wet ice and compacted snow. As I said before, wet ice is prohibited in maybe I think with Airbus as well. Okay, and dry ice, yes, you can use it, but you have to have the hot sand applied or chemical treat of the runway. Okay, and there is the contaminants which are affecting both the acceleration and they are affecting the deceleration, and that is the standing water, wet, dry, snow, slush. Okay, so that means that they will affect your accelerated stop distance available, as well as your let's say more drag while you are performing the takeoff. Okay, and what is the wet? Okay, if you look at the wet chart, it converts contaminated type into water equivalent depth in order to use the tables. Again, I am talking to you these things because the electronic flightback software is using this mathematical method. Okay, so for example, as you can see on the picture, we have dry snow of 5 centimeters. So we need to use the standing water charts with 10 millimeters of the water. Okay, And what is important right now? Very important is to know that if you have contaminated runway, please be aware of the fact that it affects your payload, or let's say traffic load, very much. So that means that you lose, for example, on contaminated runway comparing to dry runway, for example, 5 tons. That means that you cannot fly with full airplane, but with a half airplane of booking. This is the very important thing. What you have to know, and why this happens. Okay. Right now, what we have to do as the flight crew? We have to do the limitations of the Boeing 737. Now, the limitations of Boeing 737 says clearly that you are allowed to land and take off on the runway which has 6 centimeters or 60 millimeters of the dry snow on, and wet snow and slush 13 millimeters of the maximum. Okay, so everything beyond this point is prohibited. It's strictly prohibited, like it's prohibited to take off on wet ice. Okay, so that's another limitations. Another limitations is, for example, the snowbanks. Okay, what does it mean, snowbank? If you see that there is heavy snowy conditions, and the cars which are removing the snow, the freeze, are going from the runway, and they are putting all the snow somewhere on the side of the runway. Okay, but if it's still snowing, there is a problem that you have to account that okay, I am right now landing on the center line, and it is valid for taxiway as well. And if I have the clearance for my wings, so I need to have a certain, let's say, horizontal part of the snow banks, in order not to hit with the wing the snow which is accumulated from a runway clearance. Okay, that's the snow banks, as you can see on the picture right over there. So this is the explanation of the limitation. Another limitation of the Boeing 737 is that if you have clear airplane, that means that if you are performing the walk around, and in a walk around, that means that you have to check the critical items like leading edge devices, engine inlets, pitot static ports, and static ports, and for example the APU inlet doors, and everything what is critical. You still have some let's say approval. It's called soak frost on the wing, and this black area means the over the wing, and under the wing there is as well, and you are allowed to take off if the frost is 3 millimeters. Okay, that's pretty okay. You don't need to de-ice the airplane. Okay. Now, what is important with the pre-flight procedure as well? It's told to the let's say maintenance crew to de-ice your windshield, okay, with some fluid, because you need your wipers. In case that you have, I will leave it like this one. I don't know if this works or no. If you can see the fan blades that they are frozen, that means that you have to call the maintenance, and you have three possibilities how to get rid of this. When the airplane is coming from the destination and the engine is hot, that means that if you by your hand start to rotate the fan, let's say in the opposite direction that is turning, it sucks your hot air from turbine, and it sometimes it's okay. It can remove your ice for your fan blades. Okay. If it is still not possible, you can call the maintenance to heat up it, to melt it, or apply some fluid. I can't remember the name of the fluid. It was ACB1 or something like that. But anyway, so this is the method how to use it, and as well apply the fluid on your brakes. Okay, because when in order not to freeze the brakes, so maybe that's it. That's the simple explanation. Okay. So, and now we are going to the part which is valid from November of 21, I guess so, and it is your new snow thumb, and how it looks like. Okay, so we are currently using the aircam metrics. What does it mean? It's runway condition assessment metrics. It's something which was developed right now in ICAO in 2021. It's new type of the snow thumb. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't make sense because they are putting on the first as the first the things that you realize is your braking actions, but as you are departing, you are not looking for the braking actions. You are looking for the contaminants, and that's it. So old format, in my opinion, was much more better than this new one. Okay, this new one is quite complicated, and basically it leads to nothing, because I will completely disregard the good, medium and poor actions while on takeoff, because I need to know the contaminates, and it is going to my electronic flight bag or into my paperwork computation. So as you can see on the right side, you have the code. Okay, then you can see, for example, 6 is the dry runway, number 5 is the runway which is wet, but it doesn't meet the criteria for the contaminated runway. Okay, or you can have 5 slash dry snow or wet snow up to 3 millimeters of depth. Okay, as you can see, for example, we are going to ice, and this is the poor action. Okay, braking actions, that's why. And as you can see, 0 is wet ice, and this is less than poor, and as I said before, this is completely forbidden, so we are not allowed to take off. Okay, so this is the aircam metrics and explanation. What is the code, and what code is depicted into contaminate and into the braking actions. It is all based on statistical method, which I don't like personally, but it's my personal opinion. If you have another opinion, okay, just let me know, and we can discuss it. And now you can see on the picture, I will show you, this was the old format of the snow thumb with the red. the new snow time is basically depicted. As you can see, we have as an example some airport which is echo alpha delta delta, and you see the different conditions on of the runway. What is important, the runway significator is 09 right, okay, and as you can see, we have 5, 4 and 3 contaminates, okay, and that means that if we are going back 5, 4, 3 to aircam, that means that we could have slush, we could have dry snow, we can have more than dry snow on code number 3 and so on. It is divided into the 3 parts of the runway. The first part is the let's say touchdown zone, middle zone and end zone. The another numbers are what is the contamination of each third part. For example, here we have on the touchdown zone 100%, 50% is on middle end, on middle zone, and 75% we have on the departure end of the runway. Okay, and then you can see that we have another. That means that it was not measurable, and as you can see, we have 0606, and it means that the 0606 it's the depth, okay, in millimeters. And now you can see we have wet slash slash. So, and now you ask yourself, why is there 543 when we have on the of the end of the snow time wet slash slash? Okay, so so far I have no explanation for this situation. Why is it depicted over there? Okay, so basically that's it. Okay, in the end of the runway, in the end of the this aircam metrics, it's a plain language. A plain language contains, for example, snowbanks. As you can see, loose set applied or hot sand applied on the runway. Runway is chemically treated, and so on and so on. So if there is some icy conditions, so we are allowed to take off within and we will use the low friction coefficient in our electronic flight bag or in our paperwork. Okay, so this is the explanation about this. And now what is very important, if you come to the briefing room, the first of all, what you need to check. Okay, so we have to check the METAR condition on the airport, and METAR and TAF on the destination and destination alternate airport. And if we see that we have freezing drizzle or freezing rain or freezing fog or something like that, so that simply said the icing conditions on the airport from the METAR. In this case, we are 90% sure that we are using de-icing and engine and anti-icing as well. And what is very important, if I am flying to Tromsø airport, at Tromsø airport there is for example snowy runway within our limitations, and let's say there are snowing, there is the heavy snow conditions, In this case, we need to check the airplane status. That means that we are going into the operational flight plan, and there should be depicted if the anti-skid must be operative, automatic speed brakes must be operative, and we are not allowed to use on contaminated runway assumed temperature because of the temperature error. So that means it is quite a big difference. However, it's counting with this margin between speeds which are related into the physical end of the runway, as I said on video before, and your indicated airspeed. Okay, so this is the part of the briefing, and we have to account that we are no longer can load the full airplane and fly the full airplane into our destination. It's basically each company are accounting with this situation and book it according to the flight company dispatcher performances. Okay, he or she should be responsible to make a conversation between the guys who are adjusting the booking capacities, or let's say with the travel agencies or something like that. But basically, it's nothing special. Okay, so now we are coming to we will divide it into the conditions. In Boeing FCOM manual clearly states that anti-ice criteria are when the temperature drops outside and temperature drops below 10 degrees of centigrade, and there is some kind of precipitation or some water or snow on the runway, or visibility less than 1 statute mile. In conversion to our countries, in Europe it's 1600 meters. Okay, in this case, while taxiing, we have to use the engine anti-ice without no exception. Okay, we must do it. Regarding to engine anti-ice while cruising, we will discuss it later on. And now we are going, we will perform whole the flight. Okay, and now we are going to de-icing. Okay, so, and this is really very important, because we need to divide the part for de-ice and anti-ice, because it should happen that you have the airplane overnight, and basically there is there was the snow falling overnight, and the airplane is covered by snow, but icing conditions are no longer presented. It's sailing and visibility okay, we have nice weather, pretty good. Okay, so in this case we are performing only de-icing procedure. Okay, so we just get rid of the contamination of the airplane. In case we have for example conditions still present, we can make it via two ways. One way it's apply de-icing procedure and then apply anti-icing procedure. And right now when we are applying this procedure, you have to check your Jeppesen charts, and on your Jeppesen chart it's clearly stated if the airport serves de-icing stands or remote de-icing areas, or de-icing will be performed on the gate. Okay, with the engine shutdowns. Okay, everything is working, everything is fine. You just de-ice the airplane and make a pushback. If you don't know, or if it is not stated clearly in JPSON, you have to always ask your handling agent, hey, we need to do the de-ice, what is the procedure? He or she should tell you that, okay, Captain, we don't have the remote de-icing areas, so we need to de-ice here. And now we are coming to the type of the fluids, okay? And what are the type of the fluids? We have type 1 fluid. This is basically orange color. So you can see the orange color, the orange, let's say, spray. It's coming from the nozzle, and you can see it with the orange spray or something like that. And this type of fluid, it's mainly for de-icing, but it can be used in some circumstances for anti-icing as well. But it has very long, short hold over time, very short. Okay, you will see it later on. And there we are coming to the fluid number 2 and 4. I will skip number 3. Why? Because number 3 it's for the airplane with low rotation speed, so that means ATR dash or something like that. So this is mainly for them, but for jet airlines we have to apply it a second fluid or fourth fluid. Okay, the fluid number 2 is transparent, so that means that it has no color, but it has less hold over the time than the fluid number 4. Okay, and fluid number 4 it's let's say it's green colored, so you can see the green, and you can do it via 2 ways. One way it's first applied, it is always mixture. Okay, it is always mixture the fluid with water. So type 4 is green and provides the maximum hold over time due to his thickness. So it's valid for the airports which has long taxiway or heavy traffic and so on and so on. We can in some circumstances make it without any further problems and apply only type 4 fluid for de-icing and anti-icing as well. But what is important, the nozzle must be heated at least for 60 degrees of centigrade in order to get rid of the contaminate and still be on the wing. Okay, and now the cruise has the tables. For example, we can make let's say type 1, so that means that if you see the table, it is the application of let's say as a function of outside the temperature, and it's depicted when the temperature is above or below 3 degrees of centigrade. Okay, so you can make it in some circumstances for de-icing, anti-icing, or let's say de-icing and then anti-icing, and it's quite rather complicated, so I will leave it like it is now. It's just the picture. Okay, and as you can see, hold over the time, it's the function of weather conditions and outside and temperature. And as you can see in the table, now we are clear, and now you can know what I'm talking about. Because if you have, for example, we are now in Oslo, okay, and we have minus 10 degrees of centigrade, and if we apply only this type 1 fluid, and it's snowing, okay, so we can the table of the snow, and as you can see, the hold over time in our case, it's approximately 4 to 6 minutes, okay. So it should be used in Oslo because the icing pads in Oslos are very near and close to the runway, okay. If you look at the picture right now for a type 4 fluid, it's a little bit blurry, I'm sorry about that. We are on the second column, -3 to -14, okay. We have snow, and now you can see the hold over time, it's 20 to 40 minutes, okay. So now in this case it's pretty perfect with us. And once you ask for the ice, you can feel, I will show the picture, this is some kind of the sheet which you mark the areas you can put as a captain, mix the fluid of the water and type, and so on and so on. Basically this procedure it's on the busy airports quite old, and on nowadays airports you are no longer have availability to choose your de-icing fluid and mixture. You just come to the de-icing pad, okay, and once the checklist is completed, they will start de-icing via the frequency, okay, or via the hand signals. And once everything is completed and you perform the after de-icing checklist and you are good to go, you will just open the window and sign the sheet, and one copy is going from the guy which is making or performing the icing, and one is going to your fly envelope, okay. So this was the explanation of the de-ice. And what next? Limitations, we know about the definitions, how it's calculated, okay, what are the snowbanks. I will maybe forget about the limitations of the wind, because if you have contaminated runway, it depends on the braking actions, your wind limit is going down. So for example, if you have medium, that means that your maximum crosswind is 20 knots and tailwind 6 knots. But in real life, never do the landing with contaminated runway within any tailwind conditions, okay. Believe me, it's nightmare, okay. So basically that's it. We have discussed everything, so let's jump into the cockpit. And before we jump into the cockpit, there is one thing I would like to point out. If the outside and temperature is -40 degrees or below, and the airplane it's not making turnaround, so for example it's on the ground more than 1 hour, there must be maintenance action, and there come to the engine and put here the hydromechanical hot air unit, and it will hot your engines, okay, in order to not shock the engine from the low temperature. So now jump to the cockpit, okay, and now there is a few things I would like to point out, and these things really let's say deviate from normal procedures. So we will start the airplane like in normal way. We put the battery, we check the battery conditions, and in airports they are prohibited to use the APU because of noise abatement procedures. But if you are in really low temperatures, you may deviate from this procedure, because otherwise you will not suffer with the cold temperature, and you have to prepare the cabin for the passenger comfort. So I will start the APU. Before the APU I must do the fire test, but I will not do it right now because we are talking about something completely different, okay? I will check my flight plan right now. So if you are encountering this type of situation, be aware of the fact that you need to take less payload because of the performance characteristics, and but more fuel, because you are taxiing carefully. There are let's say traffic jam on the lineup position and so on, and you have encountered as well the holding position of the airport which are you arriving. Okay, anyway, so landing weight, it's okay, it's perfect. That means that dispatcher accounts for us the maximum passengers on board, and this will be our performance landing weight in certain conditions and in Tromsø. So my minimum block of fuel is 7,800. Basically I will take a 1 ton additional, so 8,800, okay? So APU on bus, and we can put there 8,800. Like this. Now we can start it. I will make a procedures like here a little bit out of the normal situation, but anyway it's not the purpose, as I said before. So we check the APU if it is okay, because in freezing conditions sometimes it can happen that APU inlet door close and you have strange numbers here, and this leads to the situation that you didn't perform the walk around properly, and you need to call the maintenance to remove the snow from the APU inlet doors. Okay, so then we can go down. Can make it like this one. We put the window heat, and this is a light deviation for procedure. We put the probe heat as well within the pre-flight procedure, okay? It's because of the freezing conditions. As the APU it's 1 minute, we can put it on the bleed, and be very careful with the switches and adjust the temperature of the cabin slightly, okay? So leave it for example like it is, move it little bit and little bit and little bit up and up into your desired temperature. It's because we would like to avoid the zone temperature light. That means that on 737-700 it's called duct overheat, okay? That means that we have overheated the duct which is going from mixed manifold. Okay, so come back to flight plan. We have flight level 370. Okay, we have flight 370, Tromsø is 50, that's okay. I forget about the lights, that's okay. parking brake is set, and now tested 100% oxygen, that's okay. I will perform the clean cockpit configuration right now, so I will do it like this way. Reset the fuel from the previous crew, adjust your radio navigation settings, adjust your weather radar settings, adjust your ATC panel, and while refueling, establish the communication, and stop trim should be guarded closed, and then we can fill the FMC. So position, we have Oslo Guard and Moen. Here should be the gate, and you can check it with Jefferson chart, but Zibo doesn't have modeled here, so we need to come with the GPS position, but this is completely wrong procedure. Okay, this is wrong procedure. And now we are NGM and NTC 01. Assume that we can make departure from runway 01 left. Okay, so 01 left, Ribe 1 Alpha. Okay, so now we have refilling completed, and we have 800 kilograms, so we can make a center tank in order to avoid the imbalance. And now we can go to performance page. 370 will be our level. Cost index, we have 42. Reserve, we have Echo Sierra November X-Ray Airport and 30. I will not do it right now, okay, but within your peripheral briefing, always check the METAR and SNOWTIME in your destination and destination alternate, as well as the TAF. No matter if you are flying on Scandinavia and everything is changing from minute to minute. You have to be prepared. So 33842. That's okay. ISA deviation, it's -4. It's perfect. Transition altitude is okay. So now we can perform the light test. Everything is pretty fine and pretty okay. And yeah, I need to check what was the QNH right now. So I will go here and check it. We have 1013 so far, so that's okay. 1013, so engine out acceleration altitude will be 1500 feet. Approximately 1600, it doesn't really matter. We can a little bit light up. Okay, the cabin. Okay, that's it. This we have initial altitude 7000. We have the curse. 012. As you can see, we have auto brake in operative. Okay, right now. So this leads to a situation that something is wrong, but basically auto brake in operative doesn't affect the situation, but it affects the situation regarding to the rejected takeoff. Okay, but it is a bug, so I will skip this procedure right now. Okay, it will works anyway. So basically that's it, and right now I can switch off the GPU and we can make a preparation for the boarding. So as you can see on Garden Moen, there is clear stated here in general chart what is the frequency and where are the de-icing stands. So when we are asking the flight clearance from delivery, we must tell that de-icing required, okay? And they will know that you will come there, and they will accommodate the situation. They will, for example, leave you on stand for a certain time in order to not make a big mess or stuck the traffic, okay? So right now we have departure Ribe 1 Alpha, transition 7000 as well. Okay, that's pretty perfect. We have speed restriction over the first waypoint. That's no problem. Regarding to approach IL01, and as you can see, we have the same course for 01 left. I am now flying without the VATSIM because this is the educational video and the training purposes, okay? So we can check the oxygen tested at 100%. We can check the FMC messages, everything is okay, fine, standby instruments, speed brake, stall, flaps, thrust levers, everything, parking brake, stop trim switches, okay. And now what we can make, we can tune the radio navigation frequency in some reasonable effect. Also that means 103. We have. Okay, that's perfect. And Garden Moen in case of engine failure, 115 decimal liner. 5 decimal liner, we can make a pre-flight checklist, we can make a briefing, and we can ask for the clearance. And clearance should be with the word that we need de-ice. So this is the advantage of the big airport. You just ask for de-icing, and once you are there, there is nothing than just they will de-ice because they have a software for certain conditions. So they know exactly what is the mixture of the or what fluid is available. But you have to, as a captain, really solely and believe the guy that all the surfaces was removed, because you cannot step down from the airplane and make a walk around and then say that everything is okay. So you have to believe this guy that everything was done properly. Okay, so right now we are putting the passengers right over here, but we need to know for the first how many packs we have. 1 to 3 and 3.1. Okay. Okay, so we can put 0 fuel weight as well, and 1 limit, and now we are exactly what I was talking about. No assumed temperature. Okay, so we may select the D rate according to our performance calculation, which comes from our electronic flight bag. In our case, for example, 24 KD rate is enough. That's quite okay. We will use the flaps 5 for departure, okay? Because our accelerated stop distance available will be higher, so that means we need to lower the speeds, okay? So trim settings. Now this is the question. As you can see from behind, like here you can see the rubber seal. If it is frozen, we can damage the trim setting. So in this case we will obey it and leave it like it is, okay, and set only the V speeds. And as we don't have the performance calculations, guys, please set at least for weather runway in order to be on the safe side if you don't have the performance calculation. Acceleration height will be 3000 because it is an ADP1, I guess so, and climb reduction 800. And now we have V speeds. As you can see, the differences between rotate and V1, it's 10 knots, okay, and takeoff safety speed is 147. Basically that's it. And now what we can do, imagine that boarding is completed, okay, we've got a clearance briefing, everything is completed, so we can close the doors, okay. Here we can make it just for information. This, what is this? As we are here, as you can see, this aft door we are using for catering, and these forward servicing doors are using for wheelchairs, so the people which are not movable, okay, they cannot walk, okay. So it's quite perfect, this simple ground services, okay. Yeah, anyway, let's jump back into the airplane. And now the situation will be a little bit tricky because I have to somehow make a pushback which is not working in right here. So this bug, we'll see if we put generators on bus, what will be. Okay, anyway, so before start procedure, all the fuel pumps on, and as I need to do this pushback, I need to have the hydraulic system pump switches into on position, which is basically okay. But if you have the fleet with older airplanes, while pushback, make it off, because of the fluctuation of the systems, which can damage your nose wheel steering. But anyway, it's okay. So now we have ready to taxi. The cabin is ready, okay, so we can put the transponder into the squawk mode Charlie or S mode, and now we can make anti-collision lights on and start the procedure, okay. And what I will do right now, I need to yeah, it's non-standard, but the X.Plane is still developed, so that's okay. Okay, parking brake is set, so I have to remove the chokes. Okay, so now he's coming, so we have start engine number 1. And what is important right now? Okay, the importance is to check even the EGTs and even the oil pressure, okay, and I'll tell you later on why. So rotation is quite okay of N1 and N2. EGT is rising, that means that everything is fine. Oil pressure, it's rising into reasonable numbers, so I am happy with this situation. So that means that engine heating was performed very well, okay. And now in winter conditions, when it's freezing, we are making supplementary procedure. That means that we allow to get the fresh air with the supplementary procedure and isolating back procedure. So isolation with clothes, right back switch into auto position, and now we can start the engine number 2. Okay, and I need to watch where is the green line. I can see basically nothing, so okay, we checked N1, EGD is okay, N2 is okay, oil pressure is perfect. Yeah. Okay, we'll make a pushback and I will explain another things to you. Okay, we have starter cut out. No action will be taken once we have it completed. So I don't know where is the taxi line right now. Okay, I think these green lights. Anyway, so I will stop the pushback and we will go via these green lights. Okay. So we will set the parking brakes as the pushback is complete, and we have two good stable engines, so that means that the guy is allowed to, let's say, okay, hey guys, bye bye. That's it. He may disconnect. Anyway, what we are making to do now? Please check the instruments, and what is important, for example, if you have minus 30 degrees of centigrade, the oil pressure may not rising up to 10 minutes. It's my experience, and if it is not rising into the reasonable values, for example 30 psi, so that means that it's not good. Okay, because of the temperature. So we have to wait, for example, within these conditions, to allow, for example, let's say 1 minute, and if it is still not rising, we need to shut down the engine. Okay, but anyway, if it is rising, we have to wait at least for 1 minute. Okay, so we check 1 minute, and in this case we can make the before taxi procedure. So trip the generators. This is okay. This is quite fine, and isolation valve, it's working or it's not working. Okay, now we have APU bleed. I unintentionally put the bleed into the off position because I have binded 1K for this situation, so I will maybe press it unintentionally. So anyway, so bleed into the off, dual bleed should be coming off, and right now what we can do, okay, 1 minute is passed, we have engine which is basically stabilized, so that's mean that it's perfectly okay. So what we can do, we can shut down the APU. Okay, we can check the hydraulics as well, and that's it. Okay, then we press the recall if we have any malfunction or no. As you can see, it was the bug. And right now, if we are confirmed with the taxi routing, okay, so I will make it like this one. I will put the airport right over here, and just in order to I know the Gardermoen Oslo airport by myself, but yeah, well, anyway. So it's taxiway Golf. We have to taxi via Golf November, and the icing pad is right over here. Okay. So we do not need we leave the flaps like it is. No flaps, no flight controls. Right now I will tell you something. There was plenty of discussions between flight instructors and examinators if you perform the flight check with airplane which is completely contaminated. If it is good idea. One instructor examiner says it's okay, basically you broke nothing, and so on and so on. And as you can, the rubber seal out there on the trim setting, it's not good idea. Another point is when you apply the anti-ice fluid, we have to avoid the situation because the anti-ice fluid can go deep into the slots and it can make a corrosion of some parts. So it really depends from company to company which is the best method for them, which they realize it's good for the airplane. Okay. But it can as well happen that if you perform flight check from 0 to 40, you open the leading edge devices, which is snowy, and the snow falls between leading edge device and the wing, which is right over here. As you can see, you can as well damage, but you have mechanical damage. Okay, so well, it's up to you what method you think it's reasonable. Okay, so now we have the taxi clearance and we made taxi. Regarding to the taxi, okay, the nose-wheel steering on Boeing 737 and as well the nose-wheel steering of the other airliners are really sensitive on contaminated runways. So no matter how long or what is the dimension of the taxiway, you have to taxi extremely carefully. Please believe me. Another point is when you are on the runway and commencing takeoff, it's really or let's say it's better because the aerodynamic forces are in force. So that means that it doesn't matter that you have contaminated runway because you are on high speed and or your lift devices or your elevator is working with aerodynamic forces. So you don't need to use the nose-wheel steering anyway. Okay, so now we are taxiing to the DIs. And within DIs, I will explain to you I will show you the picture, and it's again about the discussion. As was the discussion while rapid decompression, if it is good to go down via VMO, MMO when you have structural damage, if it is really reasonable. So the Boeing put into the QRH note that if you are in doubt, you may use 280/76. Okay, so it's some kind of the lawyer defense from the Boeing, and I guess it makes sense to not go down like hell. Okay, but it's my personal opinion. If something happens for the passenger, we still have the potable oxygen on board, so that means that it is basically okay without any further problems. So, but let's come to our point. Okay. and always account with the engine anti-ice while you are making your performance calculation. And now you can see I've completely forget to put the engine anti-ice. Okay, so it's my fault. You should put it while you are taxiing. Okay, as you can see, we are coming into the taxiway November. And now I have full deflection, and as you can see, it's a little bit skidding the airplane. Okay. Now we have call out from the cabin crew that cabin angle is secured. That means that the cabin is prepared for the departure. Why we are not using the before takeoff procedure? It is the simple because within this situation, at least one pilot should have the weather radar on his side, and it is always the pilot flying. And as we are going to the de-icing area when the people are moving, we are not allowed to radiate or let's say to exposure these people into the radiation from the weather radar. So that means that right now I am not doing before takeoff procedure, and as well before takeoff checklist. Okay. So imagine now we are approaching to the de-icing pad, and ground tells to us that we have to switch on the de-icing frequency. What does it mean? It does mean that we are no longer using hand signals from for de-icing, but we switch on the frequency, and within the frequency they tell us which de-icing area is for us. For example, 1, 2, or 3, or 4. Okay, and there will be the marshaller, and should be the marshaller which tells us when to stop the airplane. Okay, because they have some physical let's say waste pipe which de-icing fluid is it's coming out of the apron. So now I will break a little bit. Okay, just order to let you know that now you can see we have de-icing frequency and the turn with de-icing into the left, so there will be the stands right over here. Okay, so in this case when we are on the frequency, he gives us the stand. I don't know which stand, it really doesn't matter. So what we have to do, put the taxi lights off in order not to shine the personnel. It's good habit, okay, to do that. Okay, so for example, we've gathered the de-icing stand number 2. So that means 1, and here is with the green line number 2. Okay. And we have marshaller on place. Okay, so okay, as you can see, nozzle steering has no response. I am out of the central line. It's completely skidding my nozzle steering, and that's perfect. As you can see, the friction coefficient, it's really working on X.Plane 12. So I'm very happy with this situation. I hope there will be some improved with the graphics and blurry skies. Okay, so now the marshaller gives us to stop the airplane. Okay, so what we can do? Now we will stop the airplane. We will put the parking brake, and it matters right now if we have hand signals or as we are on the frequency. As we are on the frequency, we are now performing the de-icing checklist. And with this de-icing checklist, I will stop a little bit because it differs from company, and let's say it differs as well from flight crew operation manual. You don't believe me, but it is like as I said. So I need to find the de-icing checklist. Let me know. I will show you right it on the on the picture. And okay, so we have before de-icing checklist, and right now there is one tricky situation. And if you look at the FCOM volume 1, there is stated that we have to put the stabilizer trimming to put all the way to pitch down and pitch up in order to make the fluid coming out of the rubber seal, because it's damaged the rubber seal. But right now the de-icing checklist is a little bit different. So what we have to do, we need to have flaps, sleds, spoilers, speed brakes, thrust levers, everything closed, doors closed, thrust levers idle, stabilizer trim, leave like it is. Okay, flat ground switch to ground, that means that this is valid for the classics, not NG. Okay, engine bleed switch and APU bleed switch into the off position. Okay, so APU we have on off and bleed to off position, and right now they may start the de-icing. Okay, so as you can see, we are just right now de-icing and anti-icing as well. And as you can see, the color is more or less orange. So it seems like that in Zibo and in X.Plane it is modeled type 1 fluid. So that means that there is basically no protection against the next action. So it's only de-icing. It's not the anti-icing. Okay, and in these conditions, from the table I showed you before, we have 3 minutes in order to take off. Okay, and while we are taking off, all the fluids will coming out of the wing. It's because the aerodynamic forces make this thickness of the layer anti-ice make go down from the wings. So as we are rotating the airplane, we have no more protection or no more anti-ice fluid on the wings, or let's say on board. Okay, so let's jump to the cockpit and make like the de-icing is completed. That's okay. So what we have to do, first of all, what's important? Engine bleeds switches to on and so on. Yeah, well, that's okay. So engine bleeds into on position. I will personally make it within the 1 minute in order to just let the air go through the engine with the anti-icing fluid in order not to contaminate your cabin and flight deck. Okay, so after passing 1 minute I will perform the checklist. So engine bleeds on, and now we can set the stabilizer trimming into our desired, so that means 5.5. Okay, we can perform the flap check. So put it into the 40. So it's quite a short time, so don't worry that the holes between the leading edge devices and the wing will frozen. It's okay. So coming back into position 0. Okay, and once this is completed, we may open the window and sign the sheet, and that's it. And if we are ready to go, we just switch back to the ground frequency that we are ready for taxi, and we can put the taxi lights on position. That's fine, and we will leave the flaps into up position. Okay, because if you have a longer taxi, it should happen that the snow will come into the hole between leading edge devices and the wing, as well the flap setting. Okay, so that's why we are not using the flaps. We are opening the flaps on the holding position, and now we can move. So we put the parking brake to off position, and once we are out of the de-icing stand, we can make the before taxi procedure. So weather radar on, like this one, and basically that's it. And we are still waiting for the before takeoff procedure. Okay, so I will put it Ribe 1 alpha in order to have something like that. Okay, if there is no low visibility procedures, we should go beyond the category 2 and 3 holding point, and we should stop the airplane within the cat 1 holding point. Basically that's no problem. If there is low visibility procedures in force, so we have to apply standing on this point, okay? And right now, if we are coming to holding point, we can put the desired flap settings. In our case, it's flaps 5, okay? So 1, 2, 3 on my joystick, old joystick, okay? All the air traffic controller should be aware that if these conditions are in force, there will be delays. It will be delays because the airplanes have to do the procedures and have to apply de-icings and everything like that. They are not commencing a rolling takeoff, okay, so they need to stop on the runway, and I will tell you why. There are two reasons. So now we can perform checklist. So flaps 1, stabilizer trim is set, everything is okay. So once again, the Boeing, as I flew Boeing from 2004 up to 2016, there were plenty of changes on the QRH. It's because the flight examinators and instructors was talking with Boeing that this is not reasonable, make it like another way. So that's why some parts from QRH for performance in flight section and so on are going to FCOM volume 1, and from FCOM volume 1 it moves into the QRH and so on, and there was plenty of changes within the documentations and operations on Boeing itself. Okay, we are on the runway. We are clear for takeoff. What we are going to do, please, again, do not set the parking brake on active runway. Anyway, now what we have to do, we start the timing and put the engines approximately 60-70% of N1. Why? Because we have to remove the contaminates from the fan blades, okay, prior to departure. So as you can see, we have 30 seconds, and right now, okay, it should be removed. I will close it into the 40% of N1 to make the engine stable. And what is the flight technique in this case? In this case, you have to apply the full control column force up to 80 knots into the nose down in order to have better friction, or let's say better adhere conditions on the nose wheel steering while we reach the VMCG minimum control ground speed. Okay, so we can press toga button, and now we can go and put it like now. As we have 80, we can make it back. It's okay. We have V1,
V1,
rotate.
rotate,
So we can
positive
make
rate.
positive rate gear up. I will do something non-standard because it's X.Plane. In the real world I will not do it, okay? So we have 400 L now, and we can couple the autopilot. And as you can see, we have the fuel, master caution fuel. It's
1000.
below. It's because one thing. Do not put the center tank fuel pump switch is below, when you have in center tanks below 500 kilograms, in order to avoid this master caution warning. This was the nice explanation, so we'll put them off, okay? And disregard for the time being this one, okay? I'm doing it because of the X.Plane model in order not to fall down. Okay, and what I will do, I will leave it like now, and because yeah, well, it wasn't so okay for me, just for the explanation. Okay, in other cases you have to have the weather radar, but for just the training purpose I will leave it like this. Okay, so we have engine out, we have acceleration speed, so put flaps up or put flaps 230. Okay, never go beyond this point. And as you can see, we have -8 degrees of centigrade. What does it mean? That we should still use the engine anti-ice. Okay, so we have V2 plus 15, so go to flaps 1, and from flaps 1 we can go to flaps up, and once the lights are off, we can make another procedure. So auto brake to off, landing gear up and off, and start switches, leave it like it is. Okay, I will switch off the wing anti-ice. We can put it into the V now, and we can go to flight level 370. Okay, and now what are the engine anti-ice criteria in flight? Basically, where total air temperature is less than 10 degrees, we should use the engine anti-ice. Okay, and we should use it. If you look at the progress page, you have static air temperature. This is computed temperature. Okay, and it shows us -15 degrees of centigrade, and it basically means that if we reach -40 degrees or more, so -50, we can put during climb and cruise engine anti-ice to off position without any problems, because in statistical method we have no icing conditions. Okay, but if we are during the descent and we are in clouds, we have to have always regarding of static air temperature engine anti-ice in on position. That's why we have descent forecast page and anti-ice on or off, in order to better computation of your VNAV path. Okay, so we are approaching flight level 100, can reset the minimums, and if we are in turbulent area, we can easily accommodate with this situation and put like this one. Oh, sorry. Okay, so this is the turbulent penetration airspeed, as you can see. And now, this was the engine anti-ice criteria description. And how we deal with this situation. I will go back. Okay, once again. If total air temperature is 10 degrees or less, we need to, and present moisture like clouds or rain is presented, engine anti-ice, its criteria is met. But it's valid for the cruise and climb up to -40 degrees of static air temperature. If we have -50 for climb and cruise, we do not need to use the engine anti-ice. But during the descent, when the temperature is total air temperature is lower than 7 degrees, and static air temperature, it doesn't matter, what it is, because it will be always lower. So that means that we have to use the engine anti-ice as well. That's why on the decent forecast page is here, and here is the engine anti-ice on or off level, in order to know that in order to better computation of enough path, in order not to be above the profile. Okay, so how we turn off the engine anti-ice? Put it like this, bright to dim, okay, and engine start switches back to normal, and put it on, engine start switches first to continuous, and then put it like this one. Okay, so from bright to dim we are okay. As you can see, it's heavy rain showers. In heavy rain showers we have to put the start switches into flight conditions. As we are above flight level 100, I forget to put about the landing lights on, but anyway, it's okay. Strobe as well, it's my fault. It's pretty stable, it's okay, so we may release the cabin. Adjust again the temperature, and we are still waiting for the cruise, and then we can switch on the fuel pumps. Okay, this was my mistake. I forget about within the explanation the lights on the ground. Okay, and now, okay, so how we can know that we need to use the engine anti-ice? It's very simple method. Okay, we just sorry for that, we just have a look on the wing. Okay, and if you see, then the leading edge device, it's not gray but it's white. That means that we have some troubles, or you can see the ice accumulating on wiper. In this case we put engine anti-ice into on position. Okay, and one thing I would like to point out: do not use the engine anti-ice above flight level 350. Why? Because you can have the pack trip off, and in this case you can lose your pack, because the more of the air from the bleed system of the engine is going to anti-ice conditions, and your air conditioning pack have insufficient pressure. Okay, so as I said before, we need to check within the pre-flight briefing the meter tough conditions and snow time on the particular airport. Let's say our destination and destination alternate, if everything goes okay. Let me leave it like this now, and in cruise I will explain you a few more things, okay, regarding to this situation, because imagine that suddenly something changes. Okay, so while we are in the cruise, we are starting to prepare airplane for the landing. It doesn't make sense for the professional pilots to keep their legs on the windshield, okay, and play with the mobile phone and making nothing until come to destination, and then suddenly there is something completely another weather and another or let's say contamination on the runway depicted. We are now coming into the point which ICAO doesn't let's say defined well, and it leads to many confusions, and that's why I said I am not happy with these new snow time formats, and as well how they are deal with the snowy conditions, because for me as a pilot it doesn't make absolutely no sense. Okay. Okay, we are no longer more climbing, so that's why, because we have too much air from the bleed, and I will put in the max continuous thrust, so we will climb into flight level a little bit quicker. Always when you are in doubt that you are fully aware that there is some obstacle in front of you or some terrain and you are not feel comfortable, feel free to use N1 limit page and maximum continuous thrust. It gives you the best rate of climb. Okay, as we are on the V now, he should accept our Mach number, which is Mach 0.76. As remember, if you are lazy pilot, okay, put Tromso 200. Once you are reaching the circle, you have enough time to prepare your airplane for the landing. I put the manual weather. I know it's most of you guys are on YouTube that you are just watching the nice videos and nice pictures, nice videos, but yeah, well, if you are a gamer, it's right on you. If you would like to become a professional pilot, just check my videos, because there are no more, let's say, they are no longer for the gamers, but they are pretty sure for the pilots, which are related into the professional side of you. Okay. Okay, well, we have some trouble. I have to solve it now, so I will just stop the video and make it red now, because we are unable to climb. And as you can see, the max continuous thrust is okay, and the thrust setting is it's coming up, so it should be okay. But it looks like that. Like we are so heavy, okay, but environmental conditions which I put into the flight simulator wasn't a big deal. So we can see what is, for example, on the progress page we have minus 36. We'll see how much thrust will add to us, let's say, and when we switch the engine on test off position, and we can switch it when it is minus 40 degrees of centigrade. Okay. Okay, so let's like X like this one, and this should be okay. Okay, so we have lower number of pegs, so lower gross weight, so we will see how it deals with this situation. Okay, give me a time, I will stop the video and I will resolve the situation without problems. So guys, now I will resolve the situation. It was a bug, I need to make it another attempt, so that means that it was clearly okay. And as you can see, we are coming into the clouds again, and we have temperature of minus 38 degrees of centigrade. So that means that we have to use the engine anti-ice as well, okay, in this case. But we are close to 39 as we are reaching the minus 40 and we are entering the clouds. We don't need to use the engine anti-ice, okay? We need the engine anti-ice in these circumstances only for descent, okay? So right now I have weather preset, what I would like to explain to you just right now as we're climbing, and this will be quite let's say discrepancy between what ICAO states and what are the flight crew doing, because imagine that you are flying to the Tromsø and suddenly the condition changes, okay? So we have another conditions. In these conditions we are using or we were using in the past the Motner report. What is the Motner report? The Motner report is it's coded via ATs, and it has clearly depicted on the picture you can see above what is the runway conditions, okay? And as you can see, the coding is completely different from SNOWTIME. In some countries like in Russia it's still valid and they are using this format, but in Europe I asked one ATC controller, they are making when there is a significant change with the plain language. This is the worst case what can happen, because to use the plain language within this these commercial flights are leading more or less to misunderstand what's going on and what's happening. So if there is a change, and for example in Tromsø we are encountering for example the snowy conditions and runway action, braking actions is medium. So you are going to a QRH table, and in QRH table please check the general descriptions of normal braking distance. Because why? We have auto brake operative, so I will put on 3, okay? Speed brake is operative, thrust reversers are operating. So in this case we are using a table normal configuration length distance for particular flap settings. If you have some of the systems unserviceable, that means that you are going to non-normal configuration landing distance, okay? So we are going to prepare from the Tromsø airport, and later I will skip the video and we are going to perform the landing. I guess it will be very bumpy, because I don't know how to say in X.Plane not to be so bumpy. But anyway, okay, so we put the Tromso. In Tromso, for example, the METAR says that the best runway for us will be 36. And now we have to check the information of the runway. As you can see, for runway 36, runway land available or landing distance available, it's 2400 meters. If you check with the QRH table with everything operative and auto brake 3 on full reverse thrust, we can easily achieve this situation. If we have for example one thrust lever in operative or speed brakes, the distances are significantly changing. Okay, so this is the first point what I would like to tell you. Okay, so the braking action, landing distance available, and use of the auto brakes. Rest is the same as in usual flight. That means that we are going to Tromso and we are going to, for example, approach ILS runway 36. We put there 003, that's okay. Airport elevation 50, that's okay. That's pretty fine. And what's important, frequency 110.9. We have pre-selected, and in case of misapproach we are going to Kilo Victor 362. Okay. Okay, 362 is set. That's pretty okay. And now we are going to arrival. Basically, arrival, which is right here, it's going to Atweg point. Okay, so go here, arrival, Atweg, and via Vamen point. Okay, and as we don't have the VAMEC, that means that it is going directly via VAMEC point. What is now important? You have to realize that in real life and in X.Plane 12, it's the atmosphere is modeled like a temperature error of altimeter. Okay, so that means that it's calibrated into ISO deviation 15 degrees of centigrade, but on the airport we have -10, or I will set up -10. Okay, in this case we have E22, which is de facto our final approach point. We should have 5000 feet, but if we look at the chart, I will show you right now. It means that E22 is 5000 feet. Yeah, well, it's not in the table, but QRH says that, FCOM says that you have to interpolate it, so that means 3000 feet, and we have 5000 feet. That means that we have -10 degrees, so that means 300 feet approximately, and within 5000 feet, okay, we should keep the additive with interpolation, for example, of, or let's say double, make it a little bit less, so 200 feet additional. Okay, so what we are going to do in a real airplane, we will modify the database. So attitude to 5000 feet. So I will put it attitude to 5000, and what I was talking about, it was 300 and 200, 500 feet additional. Okay, 5500 feet, in order to make a clearance from the obstacle. And if you look at the chart, for example, we are light. Okay, we are using the climb gradient of 4th, so that means that we have minimums of 385. In this case, we made 385. But if you look at the table, we need to adjust it as well. So 385 is basically 400. With minus 10 degrees, we have to add 40 feet into our minimum descent altitude as well. So what we can do, 400 feet, so that means 425. And this will be our minimums. Okay, and do not forget fill the descent forecast page. I will put 1013 because I will preset the weather condition like this, and yeah, basically within the progress page we are going to burn, as you can see, approximately 2 tons of fuel. So 59.3. And now situation a little bit tricky, because I don't know if we have strong turbulence on final or no, but anyway, I will not encounter this situation, so I will put flaps 40 because it's short runway, and contaminated runway use always higher flap setting. So that's it. And right now I'm going back to engine anti-ice procedure. Wing anti-ice is not allowed. Okay, and engine anti-ice, if you look at the progress page number 2, you have static dead temperature minus 57. That means if we are cruising on clouds, we need to have the engine anti-ice in on position. Otherwise, it leads to serious trouble. Okay. I'm sorry. My mistake. My bad. If we have in cruise and climb the temperature which is lower than minus 40 degrees, like minus 57, and we are in clouds, we don't need to use them in cruise and climb. In descent we have to use them. Okay, sorry, my misunderstanding of the situation. And how we checked the ILS 003 we have 110.9er, 110.9er we have pre-selected, everything is okay, so basically nothing strange happens, and we can fill the forecast page. And within the forecast page, what's crucial there, the wind condition, QNH, and transition level should be 80, okay, because we have transition altitude of 7,000 feet. QNH is 1013, so that's basically okay. And put the engine anti-ice on or off. So that means that, for example, I will set the condition like this one. Okay, so we have overcast from flight level 300 up ground. Okay, so in this situation, what I would like to do, we can make, for example, altimeter setting 1013, we said before, and minus 10 degrees as we were talking about. Okay, so from flight level 300 to basically go back. Okay, so flight level 300, like this one. Sorry, in Zibo it works a little bit different, and we can make it off like the meter says. Okay, if meter is overcast 2000, so we can make it like 2000. That's okay. And from charts we can go into the wind conditions, and while on this end we can put 200, 150, so 200, 150 and 100, and put it the wind condition Jesus, 317 like 53. And please stay with me until the ground, because there will be some final conclusion. Okay, basically that's it. Recall is checked and we are prepared basically for the landing on our particular runway. Okay, so I will just right now skip the video, and we will see you on the descent. Okay. Okay guys, we are just descending to Tromsø airport. I know the graphics is not quite well, but I hope it will be improved, and we discussed all the situations. Okay, so we are just basically focused on the landing, and the landing technique is the same as the departure setting technique. So that means that when you have 80 knots, use your force into the with your control column into your nozzle steering in order to steer the airplane. What is important here, and what is the discrepancy between dry runway and contaminated runway, that auto brakes monitor the deceleration, and that's quite okay. But on contaminated runway, believe me, the deceleration will be much more better, or let's say the landing distance will be better when you are thrust reverse operative. Okay, so on contaminated runway, my advice is to use the thrust reverse, at least one. Okay, so well, basically that's it. I'll make it level change. A little bit of the speed brakes and coming back to the profile because I'm talking and talking. And as I said before, progress page number 2, as we are descending, no matter how the temperature is, okay, when total temperature is about 10 degrees, do not need to use engine anti-ice. But if you look at the here and here, in descent, we have to use the engine anti-ice no matter the temperature is, unless the total air temperature is above 10 degrees of centigrade. Okay, so if we are going into the descent page, we have I'll put it like this one because I guess we're coming into the turbulent area. Okay, and now we can switch on the anti-ice. Okay, engine anti-ice, and all the time once for example one, or let's say like this one, each 10 minutes or 5 minutes check the leading edge device if there is no snow or the wipers. Okay, so we adjust our minimums and our final approach point, because we don't have the initial approach point, or sorry, initial approach fix, so we adjust our final approach fix right here with the temperature correction. Okay, and as you can see, it's heavy rain showers, so put it like this one. And I don't know how it is going with the flight simulator, so I will put the engine anti-ice, wing anti-ice as well. But in real life, if you don't see the ice accumulating here or on leading edge device, it's not necessary. So it will be a little bit bumpy, I guess so. And now stay with me please until the end, because the secure of the airplane, it's really important. Okay, and how to proper secure the airplane. And what is important right now in order to secure the airplane, and what is the procedure when you are leaving the runway, and so on. So please, if you would like to learn something, just give me a chance to explain it to you. Okay, so we can go down like this one. We have ATVEC point, and from ATVEC we can go to 5,000 feet all the way down. Okay, so I will put flight level 100, but be aware of the fact that we adjust our situation, so 5,500. Okay, because it's minus 10 degrees of centigrade. And if we are okay, you will see that we'll be approximately with this point, which is final approach point at 2, more or less near the profile of the capture the glide slope. Okay, so I will put once again. The switching of the anti-ice on flight simulator, it's because I don't know how flight simulator behaves, so I don't want to fall down in real life. Check your wipers, check your leading edge devices. At night, use the wing lights, and if you use the wing lights, you can see easily at night. If you have some snow conditions, if it is white, it's wrong. Okay, if it is not white, it's okay, basically. Okay, so leave it like now. Put in to vertical speed because we are too low on profile, but it's not a shame. Yeah, most time of the year there are no minimums. There are everything okay. There are sailing and visibility okay, or a few clouds, scatter clouds, nothing special. You can fly continuous descent technique. You can fly green descent technique, idle descent from top of descent, and so on and so on. But if the situation becomes serious, do not do that. Okay. So, regarding to weather radar, as you can see, I put intentionally into off position because otherwise I see nothing. Okay. Do not do this. Do not do this. When you are flying, but here's the stations. I would like to get rid of the stations. Okay. So we are flying from Advik to Vamen, so we can go to 5500. QNH 1013, and lights are coming on and we can cool down the cabin a little bit to prepare the passengers in order not to have the shock. Okay, once they deploy from the airplane. Okay, we can slow down. To 40, and once again I will check the weather for you if it is still okay. -11, 1012, so 1013 we need to have, and that's it. Okay,
United 1.
so that's fine. Okay, so we have 240 and we are 1000 below the profile. That means that we are still okay, and I will keep the airplane a little bit below the profile. Okay, so So I will go down with 1000 feet per minute as an economical speed to catch the glide, which Boeing recommends. And just for situational awareness, runway 10 miles, and because the glide slope is 4 degrees, okay? So to be stabilized at least on flaps 10. Or we can make it like this one. Waypoints off, stations off. We can put the weather radar right here, okay? And terrain radar on my side, if you feel comfortable with this situation. But what is the important thing? You cannot commence the flight into snowy conditions and contaminated runways as well when you don't have the functional engine anti-ice and wind anti-ice systems. It should be as well in MLCDL. Okay, so we can start the decelerate, and we'll put the flaps 1, okay, and leave it on the flaps up in order to have the margin of the stall speed if the airplane starts shaking or if there is any turbulence, okay? Regarding to the vertical speed, if you want to decelerate the airplane 500, it's the speed for proper deceleration, okay? In case you have higher speed, your airplane won't decelerate in this case. So we are now turning to the Weman point. As you can see, we are close to the VNAV path, but the VNAV path it's just make or let's say it's interconnection with your current altimeter setting, okay? And your QNH. QNH we have 1013, that's pretty okay. It's nothing special, so we can put flaps 5 and leave it with 180, okay? And now we can press the heading select, but if you press heading select, always realize when is the wind blowing in order not to blow you down, and we can put the localizer, okay? And once again, to check the localizer, 110 decimal liner, 110 liner we have, and speed will be 140, that's okay, and course is fine. Okay, and in order to prepare for the go around, just put the ADF on navigation display. Okay, so we'll leave it in 5,500 feet and we'll see how it looks with ATO2 with cold temperature error and how the X.Plane weather conditions handle with this situation. Okay, so approach 003. It's okay. We can go down with flaps 10. Because if we do not apply the temperature correction, we are really close to the terrain and it will lead to control flight into the terrain, means it's fit CFIT, control flight into the terrain. Okay, I don't know why he is skipping this altitude if we have this. Yes, we are on the flight simulator. We have to skip this this box. Okay. And as you can see, glide slope is live, so we can put the gear down, flaps 15, put it like this way, on the speed brakes, and start switches, everything is fine. Once again, just DIS the wing. Okay, so we have glide slope capture overhead at 2, so our calculation was absolutely perfect, and we can go down and we can make it 5,000 feet, okay? As a mis-approach altitude. So mis-approach heading is set, mis-approach altitude is set, and we are going down. We can make it flaps 25 in order to not accelerate the airplane much. Do not laugh on me when I will make an hard landing, but this is just the explanation of the procedures, how it looks like. And on pilot monitoring side, progress page, as we can see, what is the wind component, and here we can see on pilot flying side what is the target speed is 140 approximately. And in these conditions, approach band is 1000 feet, so in 1000 feet we have to be stable with the checklist complete and cabin is completely secured. Okay. Okay, 140, and we'll see how we can handle with this situation. So, our decision altitude on precision approach should be 4 to 5. Correct it with the table. Maybe I put the weather a little bit, or let's say the sailing a little bit down, so we'll see if we are okay. So misapproach climb on 0 to Kilo Victor, then turn left, climbing. So okay guys, I am back to the short final, or let's say long final. It's now nautical miles, because my flight simulator, this X.Plane beta version, it's still not working as it is, and crash to desktop or make unusual things, but I hope this approach will be okay. So we are on runway 36 ILS, miss approach altitude is set, heading is set, we have steep descent, we have discussed how it looks like, and what we need to add the cold temperature error. We have add the cold temperature error into the minimums and into the initial approach fix, so everything works fine, and so far everything works okay. So course is set, auto brake is set, everything is the same as before, but I will again deeply apologize. It's not my fault as the simulator behaves like it behaves. And maybe I found the right binding for the reversal thrust of the Zibo mode, but it's different setting as in X.Plane 11, so we will see. Okay, so now it's time to watch what happens regarding to the engine anti-ice, wing anti-ice. We're always using the criteria, but in flight simulator I have to use it all the times, otherwise my airplane will fall down. Yeah, well, okay, it is the difference between a real airplane and the simulated airplane. And if you stay in touch with me, I will show you how to properly secure the airplane in the winter conditions, okay? And we'll see what will the scenery doing right now, because it is the third. Okay guys, I need to reposition myself because my flight simulator crashed to desktop, and I just right now know what was the problem. The problem was that I was using X.Plane 11 scenery on X.Plane 12. It somehow doesn't work, so it's my mistake again. I apologize. But anyway, so we are exactly this. We have exactly the same conditions. So snowy runway, and there are a few things I would like to explain to you prior to the landing on the airport, as we are descending on the 4 degrees of the glide. As you can see, the VNAV it's quite below, because VNAV it's interconnection with your current QNH setting, as there is the temperature error, and so that means that the temperature error is as well on the VNAV. That's why on some LNAV VNAV charts are let's say minimum usable temperatures, okay? So but the glide slope is physically related to the runway, so it should be okay. And what is the next problem? The next problem is that we have displaced threshold. So as you can see, I will show you right now. You can see that this is the displaced threshold, okay? And we have approach light system which is quite perfect, so it will lead us anyway. So that's perfect. And what next? If you are making landing on the contaminated runway, always make it not hard landing, but it is called positive landing, okay? Please do not, if you feel that you are flying on your flight simulators in serious, do not rely on FPM or some virtual companies, because it doesn't make sense, absolutely, okay? FPM it's something which is normally not measured. We check the G limits, that's mandatory. But anyway, as you can see, we are coming to the source of the altimeter, so that as we are close to the airport, the much more or let's say the error is much more less than as we are far from the airport. Okay, it should appear on your V now, right here. It will rise up. Okay, so I will give you a table and you can see it right over there. And I hope I don't forget to tell you when we are when we make a landing.
1,000 feet stabilized, Mr. Perch, altitude set.
And most of the companies has the policy that in these conditions use autopilot as much as possible. That means that at the latest altitude we have to disconnect the auto throttle is below 50 feet below the missed approach altitude, so we can see the runway. Okay, we are approaching the altitude. So approaching minimums, landing, autopilot, disengage, deselect the speed, and now we have focus to the landing. Okay, we can see the PEPI as well, a little bit lower. Okay, it's sometimes it's fluctuation of the
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
okay, positive landing as once again. And I can see it's really slippery.
80 knots.
Okay, so 80 knots it's okay, but 60 knots is valid for Boeing anyway. So close the thrust levers. We can close as well the speed brakes, and slowly press the auto brake, disarm, and manual braking. Okay, and once we are out of the runway, I will tell you something which I forget to tell you at the beginning. So this is the default X.Plane, and it works without any crash to desktop, so that means that it's okay. And now you can see it was a problem for me. Okay, so really come back in order not to hit the taxi lights, and it's really slippery. It's very slippery. Okay. Anyway, I will stop the airplane, and now I would like to point out one thing. As you can see, I was flying a little bit down of the puppy. The glide slope has a function. If you look at here, in really near to the threshold, it has some fluctuation. It will go suddenly up and suddenly down. So you have to make, in this case, because you are visually, to focus on puppy, or if it is not possible, to focus on the touchdown point. In my case, I will focus on touchdown point because I was visually, it was the first condition, and the second condition, the runway is contaminated, so for me it will be better not to fly from this high position. But in certain altitude, reconsider to you and do not rely on the puppy or something like that, otherwise you will unstable your airplane, and consider to focus you on the touchdown point. This is the first thing. Another thing what I would like to point out is this wing anti-ice. In real Boeing 737, if you feel that you need to let's say you overshoot the holdover time, so to have at least the leading edge devices clear of the snow, which is the critical. Leading edge devices are most critical, so you can press the engine anti-ice. But as you press the toga button, the wing anti-ice will trip off. Okay. So now the procedure. What is the procedure? We leave the runway, so we make it like standard, completely standard procedure. Engine start switches into conditions. We'll leave because we need to have the engine anti-ice on, because the runway and taxiway is snowy. That's okay. What we can do here, strobe lights as well. We can switch off the weather radar, pretty standard, auto brake to off position, terrain from here as well to the off position. That's okay. And now we are going to most important part, and that is I will put it from the copilot view, put the flaps into the 15. Okay. Why? Because if you are landing on the snowy runway, there are snow blowing right over here, and it should happen that the snow will come into the gap between slots and the wing. So that's why we are doing this procedure, that we keeping flaps to 15. So basically that's it, and we can go down. You can go to the gate. Okay, and transponder, do not forget to switch to the altitude squawk mode Charlie or S mode. Do not use transponder on TA array on the ground, okay? Okay, as you can see, what I am doing with the nose wheel steering column, it's slippery. And this is the special when you are coming into the gate, okay? Even if the taxiways and runways are chemically treated, from my personal point of view, when I was reading the snow terms, the most of the airports has the only runway chemically treated, and taxiways they are completely leave it like it is. They just remove the snow, and many times you can see with the plain language that the taxiways condition is poor, okay? Because of they don't have so much money in order to get rid of the contaminated from the taxiways and aprons. And now if you are coming to the gate, it depends on your company what you prefer, ground power or let's say APU. We can make it with the APU because I would like to show you something. So we'll start the APU, okay? Okay, now so we pick up this stand, so smoothly brake the airplane, and very smoothly just turning into the gate. Switch off the lights, taxi lights and runway turn off lights in order not to blind the personnel. And as we have the APU available, we can put the APU on the bus, okay? If there is heavy and really heavy snow showers, it is it's better to use the GPU because in some times and in some circumstances you can suck the snowfall into your APU inlet doors, and it can damage your APU. So in these conditions it will be better to use the GPU, but for our training purposes, if for example they don't have the GPU, we'll show how it looks like. So slowly, very slowly down. Put the parking brakes on. Let me check the brake temperature is okay, and now what we can do, we can put it on the chokes. So it's important, okay? I will show later on why. Put it on chokes. We have GPU, okay, so we can shut down the engines, okay. Basically standard shutdown procedure, okay. And so that means that this was the captain procedure, and first officer procedure is stop the block time, release passengers, okay, and put the anti-collision lights on below 10% of N1, and we can leave the fuel pumps off because we will not be using the APU anymore, so we can put all the pumps to off position. We can put just the A electric pump switch to off position. I will tell you later on why. And we put the air conditioning packs to off position, isolation valve to open, and we switch off the IRSs. Now we perform classically shutdown checklist. This I forget, sorry, to put the engine anti-ice as well. And the engine anti-ice should be put into off position while you are entering the gate, okay, or parking position. So it was my mistake. I should put it into the off position while I was turning, but as I was explaining, I forget to put. Okay, and now put the wing lights on and make a walk around over the airport or the airplane, okay. And if you don't see that there is nothing within, no contaminated, it's basically okay. If there is any contaminated, call the maintenance personnel, they will remove it, and then you can retract flaps. If there is everything okay, just let your copilot know, alert the maintenance personnel, because otherwise if you don't have pressure B, you cannot close the flaps, okay. So this times we can close the flaps, okay. And carefully watch, do not put it flaps to up position and that's it. You always need to watch here, and as well here is in transit position, okay. And as you can see, condition like here, that for example it stuck somewhere over here, so that means that contaminant is still present, but now it's no, so we can switch off the electric hydraulic pump B, and when the disembarkation is completed we can make a secure procedure. That means that what we have to do, we have to do few things, okay. and it's a really bit maybe complicated, but IRS is off. Galley power and utility or cabin utility power, sorry, on 800. We'll leave it on because we have to have the pressurization. Okay, and window heat, probe heat should be off position. And what we can do now, we can put it pressurization system to manual, okay, and closed the outflow valve. It's because and it's because mainly in order not to get snow into the or freeze on or freeze it or stuck the outflow valve door when it's open position within snow inside. Okay, so otherwise if you are performing flight on another day and you put it into the auto position, you have auto fail light, and this is the better scenario. The worst scenario is that there is snow somewhere between, and once you are climbing you have pressurization problem. And right now we have to get rid of the potable water, okay? And we can get rid of the potable water because it's freezing condition. Your battery voltage is going rapidly down, you know it from the cars, okay? So we can drain the water, potable water. I can see the picture right over there. And yeah, basically basically that's it. And once the potable water is completed, we may shut down the APU, okay? So cabin utility power off, okay? And the home light should be on without any problems. We can shut down the APU. And now what is important? Important is to start the timing. Why? Because now the APU starts the cooling period of 1 minute. No matter that we don't have the APU on bleed, okay? It's some kind of self-protection system, okay? Okay, so 1 minute was passed, and now we are waiting at least 20 seconds. Some of the test pilots and some of the CBTs says 1 minute and 40 seconds. It's because we have to, as the APU inlet door is battery operated, we have to, let's say leave the APU inlet door in order to be closed. What I realized that Zibo has it approximately 2 minutes and something. I don't know why. To let the APU inlet door closed, okay, but it should be closed right now, so it was 2 minutes, okay, but basically it's 1 minute and 40 seconds, so that's okay. And once this is completed, we can switch off the battery, and the next is to to verify the airplane is on chokes and release the parking brakes in order not to freeze the brakes, okay, during the overnight. And as you can see, it doesn't work. It's somehow moving. Okay, so I need to put the parking brake in order to stop to moving the airplane. Okay, so but anyway, you have to release the parking brakes because we are on chokes. But as you can see, this is the bug of the airplane. Maybe it will works with this situation. Where are the chokes? Chokes like this one, and we can see right now if it is working or no, if we will be moving or no. Okay, so the third party is working. Okay, now what is it important to cover the at least, please at least put your pitot covers. Okay, so this is the most important and critical, and when it is really heavy snowing and cold temperatures and so on, you can make as well the engine inlet doors sealed. Engine inlet doors, the engine intake seal with the special sealing. Okay, and yeah, well, basically that's it regarding to the winter operations, and it really depends on the company. Some companies has the protection of the windshield on, and yeah, well, basically that's it. So I hope you liked the video, and see you next time. And I can tell you that this video was the hardest for me because X.Plane 12 and Zibo on X.Plane 12 are still early access. Okay, so there are several bugs I need to take account with, and as I need to reload the airplane once, I don't know, it was the bug what happens that airplane won't climb. It was the bug as well on X.Plane 11, so I guess it was something related not with X.Plane but with Zibo. Okay, but as I restart the flight simulator, it works. And another situation was that I was performing the landing and suddenly crashed. Okay, so I do it another attempt, crash as well, so I get rid of the scenery and I leave it is like default, like now. So I put all my effort to make this video, so please appreciate it. And if you have any comments regarding to winter operationals, or if you have any comments regarding to give me an advice, feel free to do it. And thank you very much again for watching, and have a safe flights. Bye bye, and have a nice winter conditions as well.